Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Squid Game Season 2, a Korean thriller television series from 2024 that is a follow-up to the absurdly popular first season. It's only 7 episodes long, with runtimes ranging from 51 to 76 minutes each, so let's get right into it. This begins with a brief recap of Season 1, which is helpful for those of us who have not rewatched it during the past few years. And after that, we get a time jump to the present day, which is about 2 years after the events of the first film. Now, Jung-jae's character is seeking out the man in a suit, as he's described, who recruited him for the last Squid Game. And if he could find this mysterious man and capture him while he's recruiting new players, maybe he'll find out who is behind it all. He hires a bunch of dudes who work for a loan shark he's associated with to help him search the train stations. Meanwhile, the cop character, played by Wi Ha-joon, transferred himself out of the major crimes division to become a street cop, because he now prefers to investigate crimes where evidence is easily accessible, instead of trying to investigate mysterious organizations like the people who are doing the Squid Games. And he still searches the islands around during his free time, just in case he's able to spot a clue. But for the most part, for his day-to-day tasks, he just does a normal job. And as you might expect, he gets roped into the conflict yet again. Now, I'll try to avoid spoilers as usual, but I think the opening episode is actually a pretty solid setup. We catch up with the characters, there's some suspense earned with the mysterious man in a suit, played by Gong-yoo. And let me tell you, Gong-yoo steals the show during this opening episode. He's very fun to watch, and I approve the early parts of this show in Season 2. Now, Episode 2 is kind of a different story. I think it's kind of boring. Much slower, and it actually has some pacing issues as the plot of this season continues to, set itself up. For a 7-episode show, I think they should have kept things moving and condensed the events of Episode 2 greatly. This is the weakest episode of the entire season, and I was kind of twiddling my thumbs at times. Like, guys, can we get the ball rolling here? You know what I mean? We already set everything up in the first season, so I think the setup to the events of this season, it took a little bit too long. But once you get to Episode 3, the games start ramping up. Now, in the script's defense, a few of the newer characters have intriguing setups, like the young woman who works at the amusement park. But the problem is that Season 2 of Squid Game really should have been titled Season 2 Part 1, because a lot of these plot lines are not resolved by the end of Episode 7. In fact, some of them are abandoned during the episode. And I think that's a very important thing to understand before watching this. Like, if you're someone who likes to watch a season of television that's a completed story, you may want to wait until Season 3 comes out later this year, because there's a lot of loose ends at the end of Episode 7. But there are some legitimate, entertaining things in this, okay? I very much enjoyed the second game that's played. I'm not going to get into too many details to avoid spoilers and the surprises, but the second game I think that they play in this was pretty cool. It required a set of skills that any normal person could have, but there's a lot of pressure and a time limit that would make it difficult to accomplish. So it's very, in line and traditional with some of the games they played in Season 1, and I thought that was a good one. I like that whole episode where they focused on that. There are some alterations made to the game design, which is understandable and even makes sense within the world that they created. The abruptness of death remains for many side characters, so you never know when a side character is going to get clipped. So that's always nice. I already mentioned Gong-yoo, but Byung-hun has more screen time in this season, and the show benefits from it because he's very slimy and manipulative, and he's a bad guy already, and he just kind of manipulates and plays games with some of the protagonists in this, which I liked. I actually thought T.O.P. was entertaining as well. He just hams it up to excessive degrees, and he's just so over the top. But I kind of liked him in this, too. The conclusion of this season is very different from Season 1, and that helps to separate Season 2 and make it memorable. But yeah, I very much enjoyed the final episode of the season, actually, even though it did leave a lot of loose ends. In all honesty, I think Season 2 is simply not as good as Season 1 of this show. A few other criticisms I could toss out there were that a few of the twists are very easy to predict. They were projected too obviously. There's a huge coincidence that ropes the cop character back into the plot involving a pullover on the side of the road that the cops do. You'll know when that scene happens. You'll be like, wow, that was kind of a big coincidence, but, you know. And then there are a fewer dramatic moments that are like big dramatic moments in this season that give you the feels, so it's less emotional as well. But I still think, even with its flaws, at the end of the day, I still enjoyed Season 2 of this show. Sufficiently entertaining thriller, and it's currently available on Netflix. So I would consider this like a moderate recommendation. If you loved the first season, obviously you should just check this out, make up your own mind. If you didn't like the first season, I don't think there's even a point in watching this, because it's not better. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.